PET for a 15% discount. But wait, that's not all. They're going to throw in a free bottle of cherry sriracha. It's spelled Sriracha. And I got to record that for these guys. I'm going to start playing that in rotation. With Mac, Sean McKay's audio editing services. We're going to be putting that in there. And also my buddy Donnie Mays, who runs that credit repair company. We're back in the ball game here, guys. We just got picked up on a big station well, it's not a big station, but it's a big signal in the east coast of Florida. Currently, I'm broadcasting on the west coast of the Gulf of Florida. We cover Tampa, Sarasota, all the way down to Venice Beach, where good old Daniel Hopsicker lives, where those flight schools were for those 9/11 hijackers. So, they get to listen to the show. But on this new station, we're going to be on WWNN. We're going to be on 96.9 FM, 95.3 FM, 103.9 FM, and 1470 AM. 4 different frequencies with a huge, massive coverage that covers all of Miami, Hollywood, Florida, Fort Lauderdale. I can't read what that says. Or the next one. Let me see if I can lean in. I can't read that. West Palm Beach, Port St. Lucie, Port Pierce, Vero Beach, all the way up to Palm Bay. And it goes all the way out to, it covers a lot of I-27, which is going to be renamed the Donald Trump Highway. So Donald Trump, down there at Mar-a-Lago, is going to be hearing a lot of the Opperman Report coming up soon. If you want to get in for great advertising rates, our biggest sponsor at the moment, Aquadam, is Aquadam.net, is bringing us onto this great new station down there in Florida with this huge, expansive coverage. So a lot of good things going on here at the Opperman Report. We got our Silk City hot sauce. By the way, I made some vegan gumbo this week, and I used some of that Silk City hot sauce. And I was not disappointed. I can tell you that for a fact. I enjoyed that hot sauce mucho, which means much. Oh, what's this? A PayPal was declined. Okay. I do work as I do my show, even if you didn't know that. Okay. So I just got back to Florida. Ouch. On Saturday. We're talking about the road trip, taking Victoria up to D.C. to her new little studio apartment up there in Washington, D.C., where she's working with a political organization. Hired her as an intern, paid intern. It's a good job, okay? All the other people there working in her department are all seniors or graduated already. So this is a real big coup for Vic. As a matter of fact, one of her professors, too, is an NPR broadcaster at school. So the kid's doing great. And I can't be more proud of her. You can't even imagine how proud of her I am. And in her work she's doing now, she works with press releases and press clippings. So she's getting access to press information that the average person cannot get and does not get. That she can't even share with me. Okay, well, I'm gonna get it. Okay, this kid, I just trying to get away with this for love. Right now, she's turning me down. By the way, too, I'm also on the White House press office list, where I get constant updates, man, like 10, 15 an hour of everything going on in the new Biden administration going on over there in their administration at White House. When Biden goes to bed and when he wakes up, when he's going to lunch, I get everything. Just like CBS and NBC. Which is something I've always wanted. I've always wanted to be like in the ins, to know what all these guys and things hitting the fan. Hunter Biden laptop, working on a big lawsuit. I guess I'm not allowed to talk about it yet, but it's another sexual assault lawsuit of someone very, very famous. Who the mother's been on our show here, and the daughter's still in prison and was recently assaulted. And when we took that case over. So a lot of good stuff going on, guys. We're busy. We're busy as hell, man. So the plan was we were going to schedule the release of shows and drive up to D.C. And there was the company Victoria's working for, which is like a political PAC type operation, they support candidates and stuff. what do you call? They were going to send her this laptop, and because we were leaving on this road trip, and she had to start school. Where we going to send the laptop? Do we send it here? Do we send it there? So we worked out this scheme where we were going to get the laptop like on the last day or whatever it was, or they were going to ship it to DC and then we're going to have it mailed to us. But whatever. The idea was her first day at work would be in the morning. We thought it would just be a little orientation for a couple of hours at the last motel stop on our way to DC. And that's not how it worked out. Okay, it worked out that day we had to stay at that motel even after we checked out all day long. And it was the weirdest hotel we stayed at in the whole trip. Let's start this off. We go down, okay, and the cheapest place we saw to rent a car was a $1 rent-a-car in St. Petersburg Beach on Gulf Road, which is about an hour's drive from here. And if Texas is about 20 minutes, 30 minutes out of our way, should have been on our trip to D.C. that first day. But we get down there to this little $1 rent-a-car. If you look it up, too, the one on Gulf Road in St. Petersburg, nothing but complaints about the reviews, okay, which I should have checked before we went down there. But, I'm from New York. I've rented cars in Arizona, California, my whole life. And it's only been recently that just one problem after another every time I rent a car. So I rented the car on Priceline, got a good price for a mid-sized car. And we get down there to this little shady office. No one in there is wearing masks, the people that work there. They're all rude as hell. And they tell me, well, we don't have this car. We don't have this car for you. I was, well, we need an SUV. We got a car full of stuff. We're going to D.C. I'm sorry, I don't have it. No one's wearing masks. I'll give you this car over here. It's a subcompact SUV, right? It's a Econo Sport thing. So somehow we managed to fit all our stuff into that little Econo Sport. We get in there, the car's filthy, hasn't been cleaned. So we had brought sanitizer. We had a whole plan to do this trip. Sanitize all the motel rooms and stuff like that. What we would do is Vic would stay down in the car. I'd check in by myself, go to the room, sanitize the whole room like I was cleaning up a murder scene. By the way, if you ever need someone to clean up a murder scene, I got the guy right here. Because I can wipe down a hotel room now in like 10 minutes. By the way, when you go to a hotel or a motel, you should clean off that remote control with the sanitizer, even without the pandemic. Those things are filthy. You can just imagine what guys are doing. When they got that pornography in those hotel rooms, those porn channels, man. You just imagine what's going on with that remote control. Not to be too graphic for you, but just think. Coup d'etat. So, we're driving up. So we get this car, finally, we're on the road, and I'm all pissed off. And I says, oh, man, as soon as we get, this car drives like crap. As soon as we get to another $1 rent-a-car, I'm going to swap this car out. But then it turns out I had removed a piece of from the trunk in order to make room, and I stuck it in my car. So now I had to bring this car back. What a freaking nightmare. And $1 rent-a-car is a horrible company. I think you hear more why on the way back home. So the car drove like crap, but still, I drive fast. And I'm a very good driver. And we're driving along, and I'm seeing these Amber Alerts for a red Miata. Okay? Some kind of Amber Alert. And I even said to Vic, I says, hey, jot down that license plate number, because, we're on the highway. I'm very observant. Maybe we'll spot this car. We want to make sure it's the right one. So we're driving along, and wouldn't you know it, we see the cops pull over this Miata. And there's only one. We saw a bunch of cops parked, sheriff's cars, black sheriff's cars in Georgia. And then we saw them with this Miata pulled over. I said, well, look at them. They got the guy, the child abductor there. And we also saw them, they had pulled over a bunch of other cars, too. So I guess they were traveling in a group or whatever. And I don't know, maybe there was a carjacking went on. I'm not quite sure. But that was our first incident that we saw this Amber Alert, and we saw an arrest of the Amber Alerters. Then the next big incident was we're driving along, and we see these three big 18-wheelers driving in. They're identical trucks. I guess they're Amazon or something like that. They're unmarked trucks, but they're identical. And they're driving in a caravan of three. And there's a guy on the side of the road changing his tire. Now, all we saw is these trucks hitting their brakes and the smoke coming up from their tires and the big black skid marks, right? And then you see this tire, okay? They had driven over the guy, either his spare or the one he was changing, the one that went flat. And they hit this tire, and it went flying through the air like a rocket. And we're watching this thing soar up in the air, like 300 feet in the air. We said, oh my God, look at that thing. And we see it coming down into oncoming traffic on the other end of the highway. Thank God it didn't hit a car, because it would have went right through the roof. Killed who was ever driving that car. I don't care what kind of car you were driving. A Humvee, whatever you were driving, man, I think would have killed you. Okay? And it kind of, right away, me and Vic, we both remembered this story, that one Christmas, I had bought her this rocket. Okay? Well, this, those real fancy rockets, and they come with a couple of launchers, and if there's a battery in it with a switch, and you attach the alligator clips, and you flip the little switch, and it lights the thing that shoots off. Goes up really high, comes down with a, what do you call it, parachutes. It was $100 for this thing, So I bought her one of these things, and we went to this big field that was next to the Target in Las Vegas, and we walked all the way into the middle of this deserted field, right, to shoot this rocket off, thinking in no way could this thing, we have plenty of room for this thing to go straight up and straight down and not bother anybody. No houses, no cars, no nothing. So Vic was about 6 years old, okay? And we, it took us a good 5 minutes, to hike into this thing, park the car, on the shoulder, and we shoot the rocket off, right? And there's no one within miles. And suddenly, as this thing's going, and it starts heading over toward the road, and starts heading down toward the road, one single car comes out of nowhere, like a magnet. To this freaking rocket coming down off the launch pad here. Thank God we didn't hit the car, but I did tell Vic, run, let's get out of here, and we hightailed it out of there. And that's what a good dad I am. Okay. So that was our second incident on this road trip where we see this big giant spare tire get launched into the air and almost kill some people. Then the third incident was when we're checking into the hotel. We go check into the hotel and we go get some Chinese food, right? By the way, they got great Chinese food in D.C. So much better than Florida. It's not even funny. And we get back to the hotel where we checked into. It was in Petersburg, Virginia, right? And we're checking in, and we notice there's all these kids, like high school, like college kids, but they're college kids, but they're like scrawny and nerdy looking, So we're checking them out. I said, what's going on? I said, what? They must be doing like a dorm here, like they did up in Reno, where because of COVID and stuff like that. Instead of having dorm rooms, that they're having the kids stay here in the hotel. So Vic went to do some laundry, and she's in the elevator with this kid, and she says, "Oh, you guys go to college? What college?" And the kid goes, "Recruits." And it was funny too, because another time when one of these kids was in the elevator with us, and I hit the elevator button, and I says, "What floor do you need?" And he goes, "Same floor, sir." And I says, "Oh, okay, all right, take it easy, man. You're gonna have to crap your pants, man, because I asked you what floor." Okay, so Vic, the kid says, "We're recruits," and she's like, "Oh, what kind of recruits?" And he says, "Military recruits." And she goes, "Oh, okay, thank you." So, what I was saying, man, this is so odd. Military recruits, these kids are scrawny little wimps. So, the next day, I go to the front desk. Oh, no, or it was maybe that night, too. I was still, bopping around or whatever. And I stop at the front desk, and I says, "Hey, what's with all these kids? Are these, like, college kids?" And she goes, "No, they're military recruits." And I says, "Oh, military." I said, "Well, what branch? Like the Army?" And she looks at me and she goes, "All branches." I says, "Okay." Like she didn't want me asking any more questions. I was going to get court-martialed or something if I asked another question in this Holiday Inn. Okay. So then the next day when Vic's doing her thing, we had checked out, but we needed to use the hotel Wi-Fi. We couldn't leave. And that was a nightmare because it was a full day's work that we didn't realize she was going to have to do. And I saw what was going on. And it was the Marines, the U.S. Marine Corps was in charge of this gathering of these kids. But different sergeants and corporals from different branches of the military, all different branches, would bring groups of kids to this hotel to check them in. And I believe that these were intelligence, for some kind of intelligence school or intelligence training, computer networking, something like that. for their training.